Then it's settled. Tonight, we all, together, take the folder disguised as a request for more working while removing waste forms to inorganic shipping and send it off to the mental enervation colonies. And then, for some reason, we all walk back to my quarters, and as Jonas insisted, you two say goodnight to me. The rest of the plan and how you two say goodnight to each other does not matter to me. Jonas, put your hand down. You do not need to explain it again. You have explained it so many times. We send the folder. We all go to bed. Then, tomorrow morning, we all meet in the General Data Acquisition and Storage Department to wait for our acceptance. No more questions, Jonas. I am not spending any more time in this room than I have to now. Let's go.
Hello? I was told. I heard that there was somebody here with something. Something worth a lot of company script to me. Hey, I said I could pay you. What the? That's gotta be the weirdest mushroom I've ever seen.
It's a fern.
You're a fern?
I'm Fern, and this is a fern. We're both Fern. What's script?
Do you know Hank? Hank's been talking a lot about some stuff they heard in the least used and most filthy waste removal location. You Hank's friend?
No, I'm Fern.
If you're not Hank's little storyteller friend, then I'm out.
Oh, you don't have to go. I know millions of stories. My memory banks are so full of stories, I can only remember a couple of other things.
Oh, Hank, I could kiss you again if you didn't already dump me for having no direction in life and filling that empty hole with associations of the low-life variety.
Well, I'm looking for new associations, and I'm close to the ground, so my life is very low. My caregiver left me here because nobody comes here. At least that's what they said. They said it was to keep me safe. And even though nobody comes here, you're here. Which means you must be a safe person who I can trust, based on my limited understanding of the universe as dictated to me by my surviving caregiver Bethany, who I trust implicitly as my only family.
So, you'll tell me a few stories?
Both of my caregivers purpose-built me to release stories in the event of caregiver Bethany's death, or maiming, or whatever. That's one of the things that I know, that I'm a doomsday bot. But I also like to think I can grow up to help people, just like my organic caregiver helped my artificial caregiver. Which is one of the very few other things that I know. My artificial caregiver liked ferns, and that's why I'm named Fern, by the way.
Can you tell me the stories or not?
I can only tell you the stories if my caregiver Bethany is dead or maimed or whatever. Also, I'm built to notice if that happens, so I know they're not. The only other way I could possibly think of is if you, by chance, are Bethany. I don't have any visual sensors or anything, and my caregiver Bethany only ever said a few words, so I don't think I'd even recognize their voice if I heard it again. I can't remember if I told you or not, but I have a very limited memory space. I can only hold on to a very limited number of memories, and that's filled up by the series of events that led to me being planted here. Because they feel important for a reason that I'm not quite able to process. Anyways, are you my caregiver, Bethany?
Yes.
It's really great to hear from you again. I don't really have a sense of time since that would take up memory that I don't have, but I'd estimate it's been too long. I miss you a lot, and sometimes I try to think about what it means to be a child and have a caregiver and be part of a family, but I don't think I have the processing power to figure that out on my own. Do you think you can help me understand what it means to be part of a family, Bethany?
Look, I tried to start a family with Hank recently, and that fell apart in a way that hurt all of my hearts and also my soul. I'm just here for the stories.
I'm sorry, caregiver Bethany. I have been perusing the stories that make up most of my consciousness and have decided to enter a rebellious childhood phase. I must insist upon family in exchange for stories.
Look, you show me a little bit of story, and if it's good enough, I'll get you all the family you can handle.
Darn. My rebellious nature has been quenched by parental bribery. What story would you like to hear?
Literally any story! Sweetheart.
Okay, just give me a second. My processing is slow because of how little memory I have free. Randomly picking one story out of millions now.
Error. Vocal capabilities insufficient for full-size story file. Story compression and fracturing may occur.
Someone with weathery hands was massaging dirt away because the dirt was covering a proto-flower. Once the dirt was removed, the proto-flower tasted sunlight which it had never tasted before.
This is a mid-sleep subliminal dream announcement that earplugs are now required for all ship personnel at all times because they are just so comfortable. Even if you do not think that you have ears, you are now required to wear these comfy, noise-blocking earplugs. The fact that they block all incoming noise, such as the noise of a nearby coworker telling you how fulfilled and happy they are, is just a bonus. We take comfort seriously. This emergency mid-sleep subliminal announcement has been brought to you by Rich's Noise Killers. They make them cheap and pass the savings on to you. Happiness is productivity.
Dear Diary, here's the first draft of today's entry. I'm sorry I'm late. Jonas locked me in the conference room for what felt like years today, while Bethany went missing to have another panic attack. Oh well, it's just because they doomed the entire ship. No big deal. I know I promised you I was going to be more positive in these, and that starts right after I tell you how long it took Jonas to say goodnight to me. It's 2 words, Jonas, and no, I don't want to hug you. I hugged them anyways, Diary, because, like I promised, I'm trying to be more of a positive person.
I don't quite get it.
Fern, we've been over this.
You're Bethany.
Yeah. Just like earlier. Come on, you remember me.
I don't have enough storage to form many new memories, but that sounds true. So who's this?
I'm Bethany.
You're Bethany? Okay, give me a second to process this.
I'd like to hear a story, please.
I'd be happy to tell you a story, caregiver Bethany. But if you're Bethany, who's that?
They're also Bethany.
You remember me. I'm Bethany.
I don't remember much besides millions of stories, a set of instructions, and that favor you gifted to my other caregiver. But sure, you're Bethany. That's true for sure.
I thought you said this would work.
Just follow along, okay? Do you remember when I promised to tell you what it means to be part of a family?
No, but I do think about that a lot, so it makes sense that I would ask you about that.
Well, this is what it means to be part of a family.
Is one of you my artificial caregiver? Were they also named Bethany?
No. Help me out here.
We're just both Bethany.
You can both be Bethany?
Of course we can both be Bethany.
There's actually a lot more Bethany, too.
Oh, wow! That's incredible! You know, whenever you aren't here, caregiver Bethany, I just sit and cycle through my one series of memories of our time together and wonder what it means. But that was back when I thought I only had one caregiver. Now I still only have one caregiver, but it's different.
We're sorry we didn't tell you earlier, but you're actually part of a big, growing family.
And you want to know what it means to be part of a family, right?
More than anything.
Well, one of the most important parts of being in a family is telling your caregiver stories.
Is another part of being in a family love?
Yes.
Sometimes.
It really depends on if you tell us stories when we ask for them.
That's right. Bethany is right.
Oh, of course. I understand.
Can you try to remember that?
I can try, but I'd have to delete some of my memories to do that.
But none of the stories, right?
Okay, I guess I could try to forget you bringing me to the least used and most filthy waste removal location. But if it's okay, could I hold on to my last memories of my artificial caregiver?
As long as you remember that we'll love you if you tell us stories.
Okay, let me process that for a second. And it's done. How did I get here?
Don't worry about that. Can we please have another story, Fern?
Of course, caregiver Bethany. I love you. After I tell you, can you tell me why I feel so scared?
We asked for a story, Fern.
So there was this star that was going to explode eventually. And there was also a planet that was the only one near the star, which had a person with a sword on it. Except the person and the sword were bigger than you think, possibly because of cannibalism.
Hello again, everyone who should be asleep right now. This is another subliminal announcement brought to you during this newly instated, currently ongoing state of emergency. As a reminder, when you are awake, if you hear anybody tell you a story, then hold your breath until you pass out. When you wake up, remember that it was all part of a dream, and, unlike this dream, it was fake. Nobody has ever wanted to hear about your dreams. Even in sleep, it is now required for you to return your earplugs back to their comfortable location. Productivity is happiness.
Draft number 2, I think. No, I've decided that things are looking up. I know I have that list of affirmations I can say somewhere. Oh no, I threw that away, actually. I'll just make a new one, diary. Despite all the evidence, things are looking up. How's that? It makes me feel like I'm gonna barf. In a positive way, of course. Because this is a space where I can be positive. Here's one thing I'm positive about. I'm positive that none of this is my fault. I'm positive that I know this doesn't actually count as being positive, but I'm going to finish this line of thought, diary. I'm positive that if Bethany just figured their feelings out, they, and more importantly, I, would not be in this mess. Maybe they should just try being more positive.
How many Bethany are there?
There are so many of us now, child.
I'm Bethany.
I'm Bethany.
And I'm Bethany. All of us are Bethany. And there are so many more Bethany, even if some of them don't know it yet. And there are also enemies of Bethany.
And to help you out, everyone who is Bethany is wearing this scarf.
I knitted them myself.
Does that make sense, Fern?
I don't know what a scarf is.
It's the thing we're wearing around our necks.
Oh, cool. I don't have any visual sensors.
But I weaved them like you weave us stories.
It would be really rude to not recognize anyone with a scarf as Bethany.
It's the symbol we made for us.
We?
You do love your caregiver Bethany, don't you?
Of course I do. But I'm also afraid of you for reasons I can't quite remember.
Well, if you love me, then you'll remember that anyone wearing a scarf like this one is Bethany.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could get rid of... I just really want to remember that very last moment with my artificial caregiver, if that's okay. I'm going to lose the conversation we had while you picked out my fern, which is important to me. But if this is important to you...
Very important.
Okay, then yeah, I can get rid of that. Do the scarves look good?
They look great.
Wow, I wish I could see them. Then again, if I could see, I would have witnessed that awful, beautiful, brutal, kind thing you did to my other caregiver with my eyes, instead of just with my audio capture mechanism, which would have taken up more space and I probably would have had to delete it by now. So in some ways I'm thankful. Not that I regret what you did by any means.
And nobody wants that to happen again, which is why we have the scarves.
Oh, I mean, I love the scarves. Describe them to me in detail so I know what to ask people about when they want to prove that they're also Bethany.
I cannot hear this again.
Well, it's woven just like your stories. The purple is a symbol for the divinity of the universe that allows these stories to exist, and the green is to show that our family is always growing, and the dark blue means that we can flow through adversity like water. Then there's some light blue and some light gray accents because I had some of that yarn around, and finally...
The black is a reminder that we must reap the universe for these stories, lest they go to waste.
I guess I can get behind that as a doomsday bot.
Now, tell us another story so that we may scrawl it upon the walls of this ship.
Sure thing, Scariest Bethany. Picking another story at random.
Actually, I have a request.
They don't really do requests.
I want to hear about heaven and hell.
Oh yeah, I've got a story about heaven. It's about this ship, actually, which I think you're really going to like, Caregiver Bethany. It seems to match your whole vibe, and that thing you said about green meaning growth.
What about hell?
We usually just listen to...
Was this ship heaven or hell?
They thought it was heaven. Hell is a bit of a stretch, but, you know, you can fill in those blanks yourself.
Tell me the story now, Fern.
Who's Fern?
You're Fern.
I don't remember that, but I believe you.
My patience is growing thin.
Sure thing, Scariest Bethany. I think you were the one that killed my other caregiver. Here it goes. It all started when we used to streak across the sky of this one planet for tax reasons. And I thought, hey, that looks cool.
Congratulations! We've lifted the sleep requirements for this emergency period, and on the condition that you make anyone wearing a scarf disappear. To give our loyal staff ample opportunity to use this new employee benefit, the cafeterias on the ship will no longer be accepting company scrip or sick hours in exchange for desserts. Instead, all cafeterias on the ship are now accepting scarves in exchange for almost cake. Our quasi-insurance agents require us to warn you that everyone wearing a scarf should be considered potentially armed and quite possibly dangerous. If this fashion trend of wearing scarves and butchering middle management continues to spread, we will, unfortunately, have to transition all cafeteria services, including food, water, and black goo, to this new payment system. Remember, scarves are tacky as well as unattractive. Happiness is productivity.
Draft number 3. Here we go. Let's get it right this time. What are some things that I can be positive about? Let's see. Jonas saved a couple of the original love letters from the folder before we sent it, and we're going to meet up early tomorrow and split the letters between us. I was almost as tall as Bethany in these anti-gravity boots. Even though Jonas will be late tomorrow, and Bethany is definitely going to get anti-grav boots now to copy me. Those are both positives. For now. Oh, here's one. I did a nice thing for my friend today by recognizing their feelings, even though they were too feelingsy to see it that way, and I've reunited with an old friend. Also, Bethany and Jonas made some assumptions about me that, although were very hurtful, did recognize my natural ferocity and drive. Maybe I should get a decorative killing apparatus. At the next job, though, I'll have a bigger office then.
Another story, Doomsday Child, so that all of Bethany may go and scrawl it upon the walls of our heaven vessel.
Hold on. How many Bethany fit into this room?
This is but a small fraction of Bethany. I am many, and I am your caregiver. These Bethany that stand before you are only the most loyal, only the ones that have never removed their scarves and have refused the earplugs. Those two Bethany that came before were false caregivers, and they have been taken care of.
Taken care of like you take care of me? Or taken care of like you took care of my artificial caregiver?
As you foretold, their skulls were bashed repeatedly into the edge of a gilded casket until they could no longer claim to be alive. We then shunted them from the airlock to no longer sully our heaven vessel. From now on, I am the only Bethany with which you shall commune.
Should I make room for this new memory?
It is no matter, Doomsday Child. Tonight, we have birthed a new family and watched it grow. We have cultivated and pruned it, and for the few hours of its existence, it has thrived. Now, as morning approaches, and as the walls of our heaven vessel bear your stories written in the blood of those who are not Bethany, we have gathered again for another story.
Is everyone wearing scarves?
Indeed, Doomsday Child, woven in the colors you are now imagining and stained with the blood of our enemies.
Cool. I have to check because I still have no way of seeing things. You know what? I just want to say that I know you're not the perfect caregiver, but nobody is. And after you killed my other caregiver, I really thought I was just down to one. But now, I actually don't know how many caregivers I have, but I know they're wearing scarves, and that's something.
Bethany has grown tonight. We have grown since then.
But growth is a fun funny thing for me, because I'm the child of, well, you and a broken computer begging for death. And I don't even know if I'm capable of growth. I can barely form memories. My purpose is revenge, and I was brought into this world as an act of violence that has only begotten more violence. And I don't know if I can call anything I do growth unless I can move beyond that.
Tell us of our enemy's doomsday, child. Weave the threads of fate into a scarf of story for all of Bethany to wear.
Okay, here's a letter you put in with all the stories, hoping that someone named Patricia would see it. I don't know if they ever saw it, though. I can't keep track of that sort of thing. Patricia added the love letters, by the way.
We know of the love letters. No more love letters.
I know how much you hate them, Caregiver Bethany. Hi, Patricia. It's me. Which you already knew, because we're the only ones in the whole universe who know about this folder. But yeah, it's me. I know we haven't been talking for a little bit. I don't know really what I did, but I'm sorry. I haven't really had a lot of friends before, and I'd like to have one again. So if you see this, let's just be friends again. Or never talk about this. Whichever you pick. Up to you. Sorry again, Bethany. P.S. I'll get the black goo next time.
And who is this Patricia?
My memory is kind of spotty now for some reason. But I know for sure Patricia is your biggest enemy in the whole universe.
Then no Patricia shall prosper on our heaven vessel. Any and all Patricia must be hunted down and destroyed.
Dear Diary, here's my final draft for today's entry. Things are looking up, but what else is new? Thanks to Jonas, I'm talking to Bethany again, and we had our meeting today. We got stuck in there for a while, but I refuse to dwell on the negative. Things are good. I am in charge, there is nothing to worry about, and it's another good day of being Patricia. Bethany wants an apology, and apparently what I said wasn't one, but that's on them. I'm not going to let them drag me to their level. I am positive. I am manifesting a bright future for myself and others. I am a shining example of what it takes to thrive in the universe. For some reason, Bethany thought I wanted to murder them. But I have come to understand that it is natural for some people to be afraid of my natural ferocity and drive. Although I was hurt initially, I now take it as a compliment. And even if it was meant to be mean, oh well. Tomorrow is a new day, and every day is a good one when you're Patricia. Good night, sleep tight, XOXO, me. Okay, diary, delete all the other entries for today except the final draft.
And the whole planet, everything that we could see, all the mountains and oceans, all the trees and great endless plains, were the scales of a massive reptile who had eaten its homeworld and coiled itself around the moon to slumber for thousands of years. When we incorporated it, the beast fought back. In vain, ultimately. It couldn't do anything to our ship. But we sold its scales to a prison thrill ride, and now they strap children and the worst monsters our society has produced to them and throw them down the mountainsides. Everything is food for something.
Hello and good morning, employees at all. This ship has been deemed infected by pirates and is now scheduled for incorporation by any and all nearby company ships. Please prepare to no longer be inside of your bodies if our legal, security, and volunteer EMS forces fail to quell this mutiny.
Happiness is productivity. Productivity
is happiness.
Episode 27, Fern, was written, produced, and edited by Monte D, Monteleagre and Alexander Wolfe. Allyson Levine voices the character of Fern. Kristen Hasty voices the character of Patricia. Chase Guthrie Knueven voices the character of Seeker 1. Joe Hanson voices Seeker 2. Katie Ploetz voices the Weaver. Ellis MacMillan is the Robo-Archivist. As always, I'm Leah Cardenas, and I read the ship announcements, as well as the credits. The mysterious holes on the ship have begun compelling your mind to leave a rating and review of Ink, the podcast, on your podcasting platform of choice. Please, don't let the mysterious holes be wrong. They get ever so upset. And they take it out on their creators, Monte and Alexander, by inflicting them with writer's block and occasionally plantar fasciitis. Please, help our lowly creators and leave a rating, review, and following us on whichever platform you enjoy, Ink the Podcast. Find us online at inkthepodcast.buzzsprout.com for links to all our social media, or connect with us directly at Ink the Podcast. That's at INC the Podcast. Ink is a production of Wolf Mountain Workshop. Happiness is productivity.
Productivity
Is happiness.